Nice to be back, and thank you for being back in South Africa. As you know, it's a big part of my life, and it's great to be here. The other thing last night, which was really stunning, was to still see the energy in the room right through the night of the networking, the communications. When we started these off 27 years ago, we had that dream, and it still kept going. And congratulations to Dion and the team to keep the energy going, and to you as users and people to engage, because that's a huge part of what the original dream of this conference was about. So now let's go through the digital transformation, what we mean by the roadmap. We're going to go down another layer from where Doug and them were last night, or yesterday. So we'll just go down and look at the transformation. Why? I'm not going to go through this because Doug did it yesterday. What I want to highlight in here is this bottom piece, the pace of change. It's not just happening once, it's happening fast. It's happening and it's accelerating. So we're getting shorter project times, shorter product life cycles. We're getting continuous change of people. Things are changing. So the fundamental concept you should have heard yesterday from the Xaro presentations and the various other presentations, change is here. It's not something which is stable. We need to build our systems to absorb change. It is the new norm. So understand how we build, how we evolve, because we will have to evolve from production to process to product to engineering practices to different teams. So how do we go about that? And when we look at digital transformation, I often end up speaking to executives and people, and they go, what is digital transformation? So I normally have to get and explain it the way I see it and the way we see it in many ways. Firstly, I want to talk about digital. Digital is where we're capturing data and getting rid of the paper manual input and having that electronic integration. That's to run your plant. Digitalization is where we can improve the plant by taking data and transforming it into wisdom. Let's just walk that through. On the right-hand side here, I have what happens when I go to LAX or back down to the Irvine office. Even though I've lived there for 13, 14 years, every time I fly in there, I get in the car, and yes, as I drive, the dashboard tells me I'm going 80 miles an hour. That's data. As soon as I turn on the GPS, it tells me I'm going 80 miles an hour, going south on the 405. It's given me context. As soon as I put in the Lake Forest office, 45 minutes to an hour south, depending on the traffic, it will tell me the time. It will tell me, and always, because I land at about 6:30 in the morning, so I can only guarantee that I'm going to get a stoppage about Seal Beach, which is about 2/3 of the way down, for a period of time. It's great. You get told, because it now has the context of traffic, where I'm going, it now is able to give me wisdom, or knowledge, actually, of what that traffic's going to happen. But it also gives me another alternative routes. It gives me an option to go A or B and gives me the time. And without me my eyes leaving the road, I can select it. So what it's now given me an action. That's the transformation, to be able to take data all the way through. Why can't we do that in our digitalization? That gives you improvement as you go through. Otherwise, you're going to die under the data and just have piles of data, but not get effective information from it. But digital transformation is the next step beyond that. It is where you change and transform your company. It gives the ability to leverage what we've done with digitalization to change and minimize wasted work. Wasted work would be time delays, wasted manual input, wasted functions, wasted effort, wasted procedures. It enables companies to go outward thinking, to increase their value creation of new opportunities, and to become customer-centric and demand-driven, which needs agility. It's that change. If you put the technology in with digitalization, you will improve, but you will not transform. Transform is when you change the way you work. Hopefully that's clear, because it's a simple, logical stepping stone as we go down this path. And it is a journey. I also want to, often people talk about what is IIoT and Industry 4.0. So Fabio and I put this together as a very simple explanation. Some of you will remember the black phone. The black phone was fairly heavy, it was connected to the wall, it had limited functionality, e.g. you could only do voice, and you couldn't move past where the cord went. It had low scalability because it was one. Now we have the smartphone. The smartphone has multiple functions: messages, apps, photos, all the rest of it which comes with it. It has global reach. I've got the ability to not only roam in this building, but I have the ability to roam through South Africa. And then I have the ability to roam around the world, and it will connect. It's got a globalization piece. And it's got native apps and networks and ecosystems which add extra value within the networking, within the apps, all the rest of it. It transforms. If we now take that concept and put it into the industrial world, we have on the left the traditional HMI with a PLC and your controllers, your pumps, your motors. There, we had limited functionality because it was focused on building and running that process. Limited reach, it's siloed for that area, but effective for that area. And it has slow scalability with limited protocols and structures, and it tends to go through the big PLC. As we go to the right, we now have multiple functions because we've now included PLCs, IoT devices, HMIs, and the cloud as a natural part of my architecture. So now I'm opening it up to multiple people. Through the cloud, I can do it on my mobile phone, I can do it in my web, I can link into my desktop, I can get access to that data. But I also am able to get multiple functions, so I can extend the capability of the HMI with other functions. And I can get a global reach where somebody sitting in South Africa on a plant, say down at what I used to call Liscor, and then I could be sitting in Australia and I could be advising them on what they're doing. That gives me the global reach, and it's highly scalable. It's a different architecture. You saw in that video, there was a solar plant with a centralized environment with mirrors coming up. That's 7,500 mirrors. 7,500 PLCs of 14 I/O. How do you manage that? That's IoT. How do you bring that together? The opportunity of scaling and duplicating. So, firstly, it is a part of our architecture as we go to IoT, is the internet and the cyber come into play to give us that scalability. So now let's go through the transitions of a number of the technologies. We went through some of these last year with Didier, but I'm now going to go into where we're up to this year and then go into the different roles. So basically, when we look at cloud, it is coming connected to everything we're doing. In the last year, we've ended up merging three cloud initiatives, major initiatives, into one digital platform called AVEVA Connect. We've got about 32 functional values up there at the moment, different functions, where something like Insight Wonderware Online is one function. We've got 20 plus new cloud offers released in the last 12 months, 70 plus cloud releases. Some of them are releasing every month, the infrastructure is releasing every 2 weeks as we do stuff. We have 2,500 plus tenants. Over 5,000, I think it's over 6,000 or 7,000 users now, and we can keep adding new value streams all the time. The beauty about that is it's information. It's information being brought up, delivered. This is Insight, AVEVA Insight, the operational side of the environment, and you can see we're bringing up information, we're linking it together on process, we're bringing in news feeds, we're now clicking across to show you OEE and the production environment and the capability which is now in the cloud as well, and I'll go into that in a minute. We're also expanding this capability with graphics. So here we're dragging an HMI screen onto a canvas. We're going to then, once we have that picture, so we've got the picture there, it's a still picture. Now I've got some tags on the right-hand side. I've assigned a way that's going to be represented, and I'm dragging that over to one part of the plant and dragging it over to another part of the plant, and I'm building effectively a process dashboard. This is to give you the ability to quickly build those pieces out. You can adjust how you're going to show that variable, if it's going to be a bar graph or a dial or whatever. So all of that is a new capability coming into the cloud to give more increased visibility and customability. You saw this from Doug yesterday. Again, this is cloud-based alarms and mechanisms getting linked into the AVEVA engineering side and being able to navigate through your system. Again, this is in the cloud and made available to various systems to link into the system. What all of that's doing, and that's two pieces of 32, is we've gone to one platform. This platform is connecting people, connecting applications, connecting plants, enabling insights, enabling augmentation of what the knowledge and power of what you're doing. Down the bottom, you're going to start seeing this system, instead of having to go to multiple places, you'll end up seeing support, you'll end up seeing how I learn my products, my e-learnings and all of my training will be in here. And if I want to see what's new coming from Digital Exchange, that will also be all embedded. So the key thing here is one place. If you're going into the system and then coming out and navigating, you'll be able to understand how to move across our digital assets as one platform. As we go to knowledge and understanding, here we're firstly capturing and consolidating information into a high-fidelity cloud, secure cloud platform. This could be taking your historians on-prem, pushing the data up, taking it from sensors, bringing it up. But once you have the data there, we have the ability to take that real-time data and determine what's happening. Understand through condition management rules and capabilities to actually understand and build those rules up to bring awareness of certain conditions happening. But I should have also understand what's happened. And what's happening is through intelligence and cross-jumping and KPIs. I want to be able to do what-ifs, an open loop simulation, and check what could that happen. Could I, if I put a number in here and a value and take it up to here, what result comes out with a 98% confidence? That gives you a new person who's come into the plant the ability to actually make a better decision and with more confidence. What's needed? Real-time optimization, understanding where I am relative to the scenarios, my operational window, planning, scheduling, and understanding that all together. Where am I? Not in disconnect. Where am I now? Am I on schedule? Where should I be operating my system? And again, the diverse applications of getting the information across the system, being able to do autonomous, self-guided remediation of the situation. You can see here, we've got on the left-hand or right-hand side a news feed which told you that there was a problem in, I think it's New Orleans. And then with weather, you can see it on a trend. We clicked on that. Now we're going to go down and we're going to go click on that and will take us to a map. And that will show you where it was located and that particular variable and that system. So immediately we've gone and navigated across the system to actually determine where something is. But it was actually not me monitoring the system, it was the news feed system, which is machine learning, telling you there's something variable here, it's out of norm, and it told you in the news feed. And then you decided, okay, I want to do something about it. That's starting to bring people to actually monitor or to manage by exception, not necessarily monitor. Another major area you heard yesterday out of two major speeches yesterday, one around the transformation of the professional and the learning environment, and the second one, obviously from the Xaro presentation, the transformation of people. This is a huge area we're working in. Peter's here with his AR, VR. We've got a lot of things happening here. We need comprehensive work management, new instruction training. We need all the engineering and pulling that together. So I'm not going to go into, yesterday's presentation had some of the videos of what we've done with Augmented, but we've now got an Augmented platform. It really gives you a couple of key things. The versatility of rendering, the remote support is a key piece. Being able to have a remote person interact with somebody in the field continuously and have that interaction backwards and forwards. Navigation, you might ask, why is that important? I was at a power plant and they talked to me about they've got a 45-minute delay occurring on that power plant from what they were 4 or 5 years ago, mainly because they've got new people on that plant. They're seeing on their HMI an issue with the plant, but now they're having problems navigating to where that asset is because they don't know the physical site. So they're looking for a GPS, effectively a Garmin, to navigate them. And now giving that navigation and where is that asset and how can I get there? What safety do I need to tie in? So this augmented AR, VR environment is critical. And you're going to start seeing it roll out across our products in different forms, from the cloud into various handheld mechanisms across the system. So go and have a look at what Peter's got out on the stands. I also want to bring in, how do we deal with the workforce in self-training? This is another challenge we've got in the world. You can see we're going into Connect, and what we've got is we've moved a whole lot of functionality around training systems, fundamental trainings, simulation, instructor-led trainings, immersive training, 3D environments, and then this all gets put into the cloud in a corporate-wide, enterprise-wide training. You can see here, I've gone in, I'm logged in, I'm going into a learning platform, which will then take you through. I'm logging in as an instructor, or I'm now going in a student workflow, and I'll go in, I can see, maybe it could be a video, it can be a PowerPoint, it can be instructions on what I've got to go and learn. So I've now arrived at a certain place on my plant. I want to learn on the fly. I want a course on the fly. I've got to be able to learn that, and this is not a learning about InTouch or one of our products. This is learning about the implementation of how that layout was used, what are the procedures. Once I've done that learning, I can now click on it, and I can go into a test. And I'll go into, now this is an InTouch, and I can go into that InTouch. I can actually start exercising and performing a series of tasks. Alarm, this will be an alarm, condensed pump alarm will come up, and then effectively you'll go through a set of procedures, and how do you react to that? How do you learn, what actions did you take? How many steps did you take? Moving it all the way through, and how well did you acknowledge it? Did you find everything? Do you know how to operate? As we're doing this, we're capturing the score of that person and determining how competent they're going to be at actually executing that environment. So this is now, we released this in October, this is effectively a training platform for you to actually capture how you run your systems, how you should use them, and then enabling your new employees, new location employees, to be able to come on and learn self-training. This is a big, big area. So we've got a number of mega companies who are now driving this out as a standardization across their companies. You'll see announcements of that in the summer. I also want to talk about the transformation of teamwork. Now, we've got mobile rounds and enabling the rounds of a single person to working through that round. And that's a critical function. But what we've introduced in the last 12 months is the transformation of the team, being able to empower the edge by eliminating time delays between different actions. So on the left, you've got procedures. So if I've got a procedure which actually has to go across multiple people, how can I have them work together? So I might go to one team for task one, and you can see on the right-hand side, I've got the mobile round extensions for Skelter. I'm going into understanding what I've got to go and do for turnarounds, dismantle holders, whatever. I will work through all of that material for turnarounds and update the tasks, enter the tasks. Once I've completed those tasks or I've got an action, it may go to somebody else in that procedure who might be somewhere else, and he'll get the notification. He then reacts and does his piece, and we continue on. We take away those delays between the people. We actually get coordination of procedures over the team, not just the individual, and allows us to get through all of that information and move through the system. It's critical because we're shifting to teams. And how can we get those teams to be effective? So this was a big area. We've got one customer with over 2,000 users literally using this at the moment to actually coordinate startups, turnarounds as they bring on the chemical factories and what they're trying to do. So this, and then they combine this with the operator rounds using IntelliTrack as well. So they combine the two to get the effective work going through, and you can see instructions and various other pieces. Again, a very simple concept now made available. We also talked about complete digital value chain. This is assets. We went through this in fairly big detail yesterday in a session around having the electrical drawings going to mechanical drawings, been tied all of this into one object, which actually is your digital engineering, your digital asset, and linking it back into your process design as you go through, and then ultimately your 3D model. All of this gives you the end-to-end, and then being able to do your planning, your resource planning, and tie it into it as you go through, and then also your procurement. What we're doing is also tying in the normal processes, being able to go to exception-based on the maintenance side. Obviously, rounds come into this and capture the information from rounds, or everything goes electronic or digital. And then ultimately we're heading to the role-based situation where I should be able to see a plant, see its status, and be able to navigate to where something is. All of these come integrated into one environment, so now we have one experience, not multiple experiences, multiple applications, but how can we give you an empowerment according to your role? Obviously, as we go to the cyber world and Industry 4.0, the critical thing is also, question comes up, how well do we deal with security? What is our role? We do this from development. This is not a once-off. It is a part of our culture from a development point of view. Regulations, modernizations, we have partners which go into play here. So the key thing is, if you want to understand where we are, what we do, on AVEVA.com under the trusted area, you can see what we do from a secure, where we are for patches, mechanisms at that point. We also are working very closely with all these agencies, NERC, Homeland Security, etc., in making sure that we're up to date, we're modernizing, we're adjusting, we're doing the proper pen tests and all the rest of it to get through and make sure our systems are secure. We're also joining up with partners like Cylance and VRSec to stop attacks, to help you go through your system. These partners are joining on board and are able to work with you if you want to go forward on a secure architecture. So now let's go into the roadmap, but let's look at it in a different way. Let's look at it relative to operators and roles. So you're going to hear me talking everything about roles, because that's the way we're moving to. Instead of lots of products and things, we're looking at our offers in the way of what does that person or that role need to do in this day of his life, and then how do we complement it? How do we enable that with capability through the system and deliver it in the right experience for them to actually deal with? Obviously, from an HMI point of view and a supervisory role, which is the operator role, we have a massive install base. But we go from equipment to plant to enterprise. The challenges you face is how do you do standardization across multiple plants? How do you have multiple sources? How do we go to IoT devices? How do we enable collaboration and cybersecurity? And how do we deal with people? How do we deal with the dynamic workforce? And that's why I introduced you to the enterprise-wide training. So I'm just going to have a quick talk about what we're doing with enterprise to edge in the supervisory space, and then go into the next pieces. We go from the left to the right. You'll see out in the sessions outside or in the expo, something up in the multi-site enterprise area. That control room, the integrated operational centers, some of you heard BlackRock last year, those sort of environments. Edge is right down at a small device, which runs specifically, could be running on a Raspberry Pi, and it's got a HMI on it, and it's running from that environment. Going through to your traditional asset, which is where your InTouch would have existed, your line would have been an InTouch, and then going up into plants all the way through with system platform. The key thing here is you're going from multiple different operating systems on the bottom left towards mainly a Windows environment in the middle and going eventually up into the cloud. We're adding cloud, so if any of you have seen with the latest InTouch Update 3 and System Platform Update 3 and the new SciTech one coming out in May, that you automatically get connected to the cloud or have the option to. And you can then start a trial, get your data being going pumped up there, and immediately making it enabled to the Insight mobile client as well as to your desktops. The way we look at the digital platform of Connect, it is going to provide added functionality to augment your on-premise environments. And I'm going to talk about that in the next slide, but it's critical. As we go from left to right, systems get more complex. We have cyber requirements, we get more I/O, we've got more applications. How do we transform the experience? We don't want multiple applications. We want to have a seamless navigation between the models. How do we go about doing that? And that's what we've built out. It doesn't mean it's one or the other. Because in your plants, you're going to have stuff at the plant, the equipment to the plant, to the IOC, and you're going to have your remote people being able to set up an operational excellence center in a virtual environment. So if we take a conceptual view of what we're doing with the connected landscape, and again, this is very high level. You've got your plant. Down there, you've got your IOs, your sensors, your actuators, your connected devices, your PLCs, HMIs, historians, from us or not from us. You've got those running. Next layer up, we're now starting to introduce what we call edge services. These are installed existing software. So this could be System Platform, SciTech, Historians, MES, but now they've been upgraded and are now cloud ready. They can connect to AVEVA Connect, automatically pushing data up in a secure manner, pushing and the establishment of that. Then leveraging APM, the storage, the operational services, and other things which we have in that digital platform. So be aware, we're still very much having the existing applications are getting cloud enabled. As we're going up there, you obviously got presentation of your content into operational dashboards. You'll see new roles like asset maintenance and asset reliability appearing in the middle of the year. We've got various different roles. Mobile comes immediately available. We're also linking you into Power BI, and if you're going to push the data up for corporate into data lakes, you take the data up into that. We're targeted the operational excellence environment, and that environment often when you're combining and will come a data pond up inside your data lake. As you're coming up into this world, now we're going to take one step further. We're actually introducing a new set of capabilities in the second half of this year, which effectively are now coming back down again. So what we're doing is we're introducing a set of edge applications and modules. The first one is going to be edge components. These are edge components which can get hosted inside an existing installed system platform, InTouch, SciTech, etc., and enhance them, but they're actually provisioned from the cloud. So therefore, if there's an update, if there's a change, we can then provision it to the plant, and it can be upgraded whenever it's needed. Very like what you do on your phone. The second one is the edge. And what we're doing around the edge is where we have edge modules. So what you have is you get an edge device. So this is one which is out there on the stands. This is from Stratus. It's the ZTC. And this is a high availability one. So it has the capability of doing hot standby, or actually totally standby mechanisms, and is a type of edge. You've got a number of them. You could also go to a Raspberry Pi, could be an edge PC. But what we're doing here is we'll register this device into the system, into Connect. When you register that in, we then also have a module. So let's take one of the ones coming out, HMI Edge is a good one, or a batch system, a recipe execution. Those will be modules, and then you'll say, I'm going to join those two together, and we will provision that or deploy that to this device. Therefore, its updates are coming down from there. its engineering is configured up there, and we're able to bring it together. That's a new set of capabilities. It doesn't mean you switch what you've got. If you've got the installed software on the left, it still lives there, and it's enhanced to work with the digital cloud. Now, if you have provisioning to the new world, you may want to use some of these devices. They're fast, managed, and easier to update and support. You've also got the other mechanism, which is where we come into IoT directly to the cloud. This is where we're getting large amounts of devices in smart cities, buildings, across the plants, going outside the plant, where we bring it in through various protocols like MQTT, but we're now registering those devices to an asset model which exists in the digital process, service platform. So now we can have various sensors, we have all the models coming in, getting unified in the cloud as a part of that living digital twin. So this is where we're heading. It's very much close to real from the edge point of view. We're actually provisioning it today on a couple of pilots, and we're tidying it up, ready for releases in the next 3 to 6 months. So you'll start to see a second set of capabilities are really around this edge provisioning. But it's still, if the product wants to get installed, pre-installed, we still have the traditional approach, but now they're cloud-enabled as well, empowered by edge components. Hopefully that was as clear as mud. So as we go through, we configure, we update, and we provision from the cloud. We manage from the cloud. But a system can run on-premise and be connected and disconnected in the edge. So you could still run your HMI on the edge, the plant could run your IOs going into the device on the plant, you can run your equipment, and the data gets store forwarded there and pushed through when the connection comes back again. The ability to run local and independent as well. So what we've done in the system platform area, and I assume we've got a presentation with you this afternoon, is it? Around moving towards OMI. The OMI is really, content is the core. And HMI, as you know it, the process graphic, is just one of the capabilities or components which go in it. Maps, trends, other functionality comes into play. Engineering, operations tie into that. The idea is we don't want to switch between multiple applications on the plant floor. We want to end up being able to navigate natively inside one experience. And you'll see that on the wall outside. So if you look at this video, I'm going to run through, and it's a part of what you've got is an OMI screen made up of multiple panes and capabilities. HMI in the middle in this part, you've got your trends, your capabilities on the right. We're now going to click up the top left-hand corner, that orange pump. As soon as we did that, we've gone to look at an engineering drawing. So we've actually connected to a PID drawing, but we didn't just connect to the PID drawing, we identified a particular element on there. The same as when we went to 3D. And you can see we're clicking up the right-hand corner, and we're moving between left and right, and the focus within the 3D is also moving. This is because we've merged the engineering world and the orchestra model and allowed them to be navigational between the two, allowing that IT-OT convergence to occur. Again, have a look at this outside. This is really valuable because, and I'll talk about it in a second, how people are going to use this to actually get and bring that stranded information into play. In touch. You've had a view, we've done a number of enhancements, movements around the core to increase simplicity, published to different environments, going out to historians, going out to the REST API, but we've also now made the information visible. More increased visibility, how can we tie into systems, and plant-wide notifications. So if we look at this, we're going to show you InTouch HMI, but now you've got a traditional HMI screen. It's the actual old demo which we've got. We've got a dashboard in there. This is inside an InTouch window. Now we're going to go in and we're going to publish that. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, let's publish it. And it's going to now open that in a web browser. So we're now opening that same screen now in a web browser. So it's HTML5, it's in a browser, it's updating as you can see, and you can see that same data, but I'm now in Google or Edge or something of that nature. So we've just made that more visibility to where you need it. Not just tied into the HMI, but now you can take that information and open it up on your phone, open it up on your browser and at home or wherever you need to be. Again, simple, fast, and easy. Also, securing your engineering from the previous years. On the engineering side, we're doing a lot of work around in-studio, or Integration Studio. They changed the name on me a couple of months ago. I'm still not quite there. Cloud-based building of applications into the cloud. This is where you build your InTouches, your system platforms in the cloud. You can see on the right-hand side the digital exchange. Some of you may have been to it. We opened this a year ago, not quite a year ago, but now we've got an area on the digital exchange, which is a marketplace in the cloud, where you can actually see all the latest applications. So when Ernest and the team release something new, they put it up here. When partners, like this one's from Logitech, this is for smart cities, this app gets downloaded. So an OMI app, there's engineering tools up there, and you can download those, and collaborative ideas. So this is about enabling, this is specifically for system platform. There's a lot of other things. This is a lovely engineering tool which complements your IDE on how to build stuff. It's free, you can download it. Some of them are free, some of them you need to purchase as we go through. There's trials. You can see there's a bunch of stuff which gets put up there on a regular basis. So we're asking you to get those updates, learn it. This is the BACnet stuff going into place. We're also moving to solution templates for smart cities, data centers, water, wastewater. These are to try and accelerate your go-to-market or building. So you don't have to start from scratch. You've got a library which you can import in. And you'll start seeing them, and they will also be published to the digital exchange. So again, it starts to become a repository. The digital exchange is connected to the Connect. It's where you can find the latest information. You can get to it from aveva.com as well. Okay, so as we move on, we've moved into HMI. Where we're going into the future is augmented intelligence is going to be at the core of what we're doing and where we're moving to. So we're going to empowered humans as we go forward. As we look at asset and we go on to roles around operations, but operations more at the next level up, not operators, but operational people, reliability and maintenance people, roles in the company, what are we doing? Here, we start to bring in analytics, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, also connecting to IoT devices, collaboration and cybersecurity, all come into play as critical pieces. So let's look at the APM strategy and driving through. So let's start with operational information and in context. So the key thing here, this is for operational people, not operators, but operational management, people trying to understand what is my state of my plant, what is running, maybe it's a view across multiple assets, being able to bring that into a unified model and bring it up in a consistent manner. Whether you're doing it on the OMI area of an operator room, like you see out there in the plants, or you want to see it in the virtual world on your internet and through Insight. You should be able to do both and be able to see that information and deliver it out in context and be able to take actions. We've got built into that machine learning, condition management, and various other things, all extensions to tying on. When we look at what we're trying to do around reduced unplanned downtime, here we're doing work around newsfeed. So I talked about newsfeed. This is where we monitor variables, and we see if they're going outside of what their pattern has traditionally been. You've got condition-based rules, which give you them for maintenance and can trigger your work orders. Then you go into predictive analysis, modeling, advanced pattern recognition, and then you go into advanced AI all the way through. And we're investing, this is a significant area of investment, which will be coming up from HMI through asset management and all aspects of our systems to augment better decisions faster and allowing you to move to what I call level 5 of the automation level, which is where you actually monitor and the system runs itself and only gives you exception, and you intervene through exception. That's where most people will need to get to. Most people are not there on the 6 levels of automation. When it comes to increasing asset reliability, We're digitalizing the work processes, driving best practices into the system, supporting daily activities, operator rounds, capturing that information, not in hours, not on paper, but capturing it instantaneously, allowing you to work tasks, inspection activities, ensuring execution of best practices for lockouts, etc., improving accuracy of what we're trying to do. Overall, safety is a critical thing. How do you manage work, control of work, permits? How do you get that, especially tying into the system? And then closing that loop with the EAM, the planned work, and tying that APM functionality, the state of the plant, and the work orders and scheduling efficient materials, people into the system. This is critical on an end-to-end. It's not one area, it's an end-to-end strategy for APM. I brought this one in because it came out of discussions, and I like always a practical example. So this M&D stands for Monitor and Diagnostic Centers. So this came from a particular customer or discussion with the customer around in the power industry. But you can see traditional, no monitoring, monitor and diagnostics environment. There's a lot of input, which is manual on the left. As they go to a monitor and diagnostic center, so this is a central place which is monitoring their systems, and they're building up and capturing their systems across the areas. People like Rio, Duke, and those have all got these, starting to go down this path. You start to lower the manual data and increase the real-time detection, real-time collection, and you'd start to introduce significantly more analytics, and then hopefully heading in towards smart diagnostics. As you go to what they call a matured smart generator, you've got nearly all data's automatic. You've increased the capabilities of your smart diagnostics and increasing that effectiveness and decreasing the downtime and increasing the reliability. But then you have a challenge when you get to this. What they often find is we've only instrumentated up a portion of your plant. So what we find is that in this pumps case, that most people have only got a certain amount of instrumentation, which they've done. If you don't have the information, you will never get to this level up here. So you should be able to add these other sensors. And how can you get that information? Now, in the past, putting sensors on was costly. Nowadays, with the IoT and where the sensors have gone, you can end up having very cheap sensors being put onto various products. They're battery powered, so no power has to go to them. They've got they're wireless enabled, so you don't have to run wires to them, and you can suddenly instrumentate up your whole environment very, very quickly and get more and more information back. And the increased information increases your accuracy and increases your ability to manage. So it's the cost of IoT or instrumentating up is dramatically coming down, which is increasing your opportunity for reliability. If we look at the asset engineering, how to drive further improvements, again, we're using both the engineering data, the digital models, and the advanced visualization to bring faster decisions, bringing the digital asset information, not just the maintenance information, but also the structure, how it was put together. All of that comes into the same. So bringing that as two trusted environments relative to the running systems, improving the collaboration, empowering maintenance and reliability. And one of the fundamental objectives here, it's not just about building a new plant. It's about keeping your asset and your plant evergreen, always up to date. And if you have to replace a pump, how can I replace it with the latest pump? So therefore, how can I schedule the certain amount of work which is needed, provide the appropriate functions to the appropriate contractors so that they can get in a forklift truck, take out the old pump, pour new foundations, have all of that planned, and therefore reducing the risk of that downtime, of that maintenance period where you're doing something. The idea is don't be scared about modernizing your physical assets. If you've got the combination of your maintenance system combined with your engineering, and we bring those two worlds together. I talked earlier about one of the things about that demo which I showed you with InTouch or system platform, OMI, combined with AVEVA Net with the information. This is from one of the big oil and gas companies I could actually go to 3 or 4 big oil and gas companies, and I get variations on this 60% of people spending 60% of their time finding information in order to make a decision. I've got 2 or 3 of them saying that actually should be 70%, others saying it's 60%. But either way, it's big. How can you find the information? So when we talk about information, that information could be standard operating procedures. It could be how I did the maintenance last time. It could be my electrical drawings relative to that system. It could be my PID drawings. Where are they? Could you click on an asset inside System Platform and immediately know where those documents are? We have a customer at the moment who we're bringing over 4 million what we call 1D and 2D documents, which are basic documents, not 3D yet, into a system. The system automatically determines their tags inside that system. So you saw in that demo, we clicked on a pump, immediately it went to the right document and then to the appropriate symbol or component with inside that document, because the whole system's built into an intelligence model, relative to the asset, and we bring those two together. This is giving huge opportunity, and we're seeing a lot of interest in food and beverage, water, mining, relative to this opportunity, as well as obviously oil and gas and power. Do have a look at this outside, because this is transformational in significantly reducing time. If we just 50% brought it down by, 30%, you've increased the time of your people. And if you've got those operational people all at 60% finding stuff, why couldn't I just click and see my electrical drawings, my maintenance drawing documents, my standard operating procedures? Bring that to life. So where we're going, what's next, is again, augmenting intelligence, back into this empowering humans so we can make better decisions, be more aware of what we're doing and tying it together. If we look at plant managers and planners, what are we doing now? We're doing the digital transformation back again into AI, profitability, business agility, and regulatory compliance are the big functions which are playing into play. So what are we doing? We're going around in this area. We're improving business agility by driving a value chain optimization. Not just looking at the scheduling, but looking at the value chain and how do we eliminate workflows, enable people to tie together, have collaboration thinking across the systems from a planning to scheduling and then into operations, and bringing those two worlds together across the value chain. In the operational agility, enabling more people to get information now of what they're doing, increasing the understanding of where my inventory is, giving the workforce the ability to do it on the mobile, as well as in the work procedures in a consistent manner, increasing repetitiveness as we roll out over multiple food plants, multiple other plants. And then how can we augment decisions? Decisions through machine learning, which get applied to not just assets, but we can apply machine learning to temperature controls in ovens, or we can do it on pasteurizers, being able to bring recommendations based on past actions and information to you, and allow the operators to be more empowered and to be more driving down the path. And that comes critical, because the operators we heard yesterday is a critical function of where we want the decision to be made faster. If we look at operations and quality compliance, this is an area which is a challenge around operations and making sure when we're making food, procedures, how do we make this scalable? How do we digitalize the systems, to standardize and improve? So you've had sessions we've got sessions today, I think, on model-driven. This is something we introduced a couple of years ago. We're putting a lot of investment around capturing on top of your MES systems the best practices in workflow, which you can then evolve, but now manage and deliver those to the world. And then we're taking workflow, those new model-driven systems, and this is embedded inside OMI. And this will be released, I think, in 2 weeks' time or something like that. So again, what we're doing is a lot of the functions we used to have in our MES clients are now getting replaced and superseded with model-driven, which gives you the structures, minimize scripting, and repeatability into the system, driving best practices. We're also doing a lot of work around how do we make cloud, MES operations lightweight, modular. How can we get it delivered to multiple plants without having to put large infrastructure, large MES systems on those plants? So as I said before, we've taken, firstly, at the moment, it's the operations and OEE type capability where we can see downtime. We capture that automatically from your historian or up through from your IoT devices, capture that event, understand the utilization, equipment utilization, be able to interface on your web environment. You don't have to have HMIs, you don't have to have other systems in there. It becomes you can go in, you can choose what I'm gonna do in the system. I'm gonna, what was the cause? All of this gets captured. We can then drive the OEE and drive that through in a very cost-effective manner. We're starting to see, there's a couple of examples of this a couple of weeks ago where they preloaded a set of PCs with system platform or functions down the bottom, immediately went out to plant, plugged that in, connected some shadow devices, and they had 5 lines up in 5 days with doing OEE. Again, they've made it really repetitive to do it at low cost, low engineering, and if we need to modify, it's in the cloud, and we can have our engineers being able to do that as a team from a cloud point of view. In an engineering role, again, we've got a lot of work happening here. I'm not going to go into a lot of it. We covered that yesterday, but we've got a lot of happenings around the engineering role, digitalizing it, making it more effective, but really around the teamwork and how do we bring that into context. There's a lot of work happening, moving a lot of this into the cloud as well to make it more accessible into the system. But I want to talk about quickly what we're doing, which is really, it was alluded to yesterday, the combining of what we call unified engineering. This is traditionally, AVEVA engineerings have 1D, 2D, and 3D, and you've had multiple roles. So this looks like a busy slide, but you've really got mechanical engineers, specialists, electrical engineers, DC safety engineers, all of these people working together. Well, they're all a part of putting a project together. Now they work on one object, one structural of engineering. But now what we're introducing is we're taking our process tools from the SimSci world and we're making that a part of our feed coming into the system. And then we should be able to then tie back our operators and bring that into play. But what you start to see is I can have a data-driven PI drawing in the middle, but then I can have SimSci Pro 2, which does a lot of designing on your plants, modeling, and I've got E3D all working in the same environment, enabling editing and lining up. And these tools are not separate products. They come a part of one experience to enable engineers to work together. Again, bringing these things from disparate into what is the role and how do we bring it? How do we bring next levels of effectiveness? I wanted to, as I come into conclusion here, is look at 2 companies. We had a spectacular presentation from Exaro yesterday on their digital transformation. Honestly, you've heard me talk today. We did not talk before the sessions yesterday yet. There's a lot of stuff I've been talking about which was in their sessions. Interesting enough, we didn't collaborate till last night at drinks before on what was going on. So it's good to see people aligning. What you've got is BHP. This is off their public site, their transformation through technology. This is really value chain centric, and they're transforming to automated systems, operation practice, mobile plants and systems. They're driving that. They've got a clear roadmap of what they're trying to do. They're also bringing in the people. It's interesting, on the right-hand side, you've got one from a food and beverage customer over the next 18 months, and it's really about one thing, the multi-skilled technician operator. How do we get to that world class where we empower the operational person? And you've got 4 streams here. Down the bottom right-hand side, we've got the underlying systems around the MES systems and traceability and equipment and bringing everything up to machine learning mechanisms and being able to look at trends relative to how that product was produced, where you're seeing deviations. Here you see how In here you've got how do you onboard people and how do you skill up people continuously on a plant. I was at a dairy a couple of weeks ago. They're having 6 people turnover every month, new people coming into play. And then you've got your standard operating procedures in this area here, and then you've got your deployment and mobility. This is their strategy. A lot of it lines up with what we heard yesterday and what we're trying to do. So they're looking at different pieces: procedures, mobility, empowerment, and learning. Where are you starting? Have a look at this. You've all got digital strategies. One in going for value chain and everything else is all valued, and just set it up. Our vision at AVEVA is simple: to provide you an opportunity to transform. That means enabling you to become customer-centric, concentrate on value creation, outward thinking, and enable agility. We're going to do that by delivering software, services, business models that enable these 4 areas, which are the 4 areas we tend to see happen. Either value chain, where you're looking at 2 types of things happening: visibility across the value chain, transparency over trusted data, and aligned in context. Second one is optimizing your value chain and changing the way your business runs, eliminating waste in terms of operations and becoming customer-centric and demand-driven in order to deliver the services, whether that be in engineering, whether that be in delivering food, water, etc. The second column is workforce. How do we shift from silos to teams? Through collaboration, team effectiveness, and empowerment. And then empowering those people through knowledge, augmented awareness, and alignment of process. And doing that through federating existing systems and evolving with digital services as you go down that path to enable new levels of work, new ways of work, zero waste and time and decisions, zero effort, waste in effort and wasted actions, and zero waste in productivity. That's the objective. And we're going to do that through enabling empowerment of the human. Changing how do we make the effectiveness of people. Transforming context, transforming natural learning, natural collaboration. And the future is a part of the system. You should be able to use predictive knowledge and machine learning and see the future, not just the past. And then microservices learning built into the system, delivered through sets of roles, whether it be my field worker, whether it be at my operational plant, whether it be my different roles, which may be on the web environment. They've got access to the appropriate functions, the appropriate information in the right context, the right lens for me to do my job, and yet enable collaboration between these roles as a team. We're going to do that with alignment of your plants, your products, your bigger systems like ERP systems, your application systems, through a living digital twin, which takes that asset digital twin, the operational digital twin, and complements that with the living product. The history of what is that product, how did I make it, when did I make it, and then enable the workforce through the smart worker. I should be able to turn up to a weighbridge. I should be able to understand what actions I've got to take. I should be able to learn on the spot. I shouldn't have to go searching for that. I should be able to see that through alignment. This integration, this alignment, both across on-prem and cloud, connecting assets, production, applications, and workforce through a trusted information, a living digital twin that gives you a 360 view from engineering to operations and alignment, augmented through a whole series of valued services which run and complement your services, collaborating that into one system and allowing that to be collaboration between us and change the way in which we deliver, enable a platform for you to transform as you go forward. The digital transformation is here to change the way we think. It changes the way we work. I hope that gave you a little bit of an idea, and thank you very much.